Hi guys, hello Mary, meet everybody. It's MicheleMarieDalene. It's the 6th of March of 2019. Yes, you can hear I'm pretty close back to normal. Don't ask me to sing though, because my voice is not quite fine-tuned yet for singing, but, well, okay, that's better than nothing. Today I wanted to remind you that we have a special memorial service tonight for Beavertime. Now, I know that some people might say, well, that's nice. When's that going to be? 9 o'clock. Why 9 o'clock? That's because our 11's actually hosting it. I'm just going to be doing, stuff. I already did my memorial homily actually earlier. I actually recorded it yesterday, so that all we have to do now is just play it. And obviously we're going to take questions during the reception and things like that. And it's open to everybody. So you can be a part of that. And it doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is just come. It's at 9 o'clock. It'll be on my channel. It will be hosted by R11H30 and me, obviously. Very simple thing. No music, because, like I said yesterday, I was going to do music and my throat was just not cooperating. So I said, nah, I'm not going to sing. I sounded awful. Alright, so now did we figure out what's going on with the other mics? Yes. Safe link clone doesn't work because the service has expired. Duh. Okay, so that's one reason. Why did the service expire? Well, they say that I didn't send updated information. Okay? Which I did. But because my scanner's broken, I can't scan documents. And so everything is basically almost Shit's Creek without a paddle and the falls are straight ahead. So I gotta get a new scanner ASAP. So that's what I'm gonna have to get. I'm gonna have to get a new scanner. It can be SCSI, it can be USB, it can be FireWire. Obviously USB is the most common format, and that's fine. And I'm thinking about either going with an Epson or going with another Microtech. Now, the Microtech scanners are more expensive than the Epsons. We're just talking about something to scan documents, guys. We're not talking about necessarily needing something that can do photos and things like that. That'd be great if they could do photos too, but I don't think it's really going to be a big deal. Photos are not, right now, even an issue. I got my hearing aids, and then the volumes are too loud on them. Again, I haven't worn them in a few days, because obviously with all my coughing and hacking and stuff, I didn't feel like if I wore those hearing aids on top of that, I think I want to give myself an earache. So that's why I'm going to be looking for a scanner that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. Friday, me and Patty are going grocery shopping and to get cat food and people food and things like that. So that solves one problem. Right? Yeah. Okay, so and that's what we're going to do for tomorrow. We're going to get some of the stuff that we need done on Friday. Tomorrow I'll get my hair retouched. And the reason it's tomorrow is because originally the appointment would normally be on a Wednesday, but I thought I was going to be going to my doctor's appointment. I had to cancel that because he says that I need to pay the back bill first because it's not an emergency. And I'm like, okay, fine. I said, what's what I can do for you in a couple months? So I did not make an actual appointment remake. I just said, I'll call you when I have the $100. This is probably what's going to happen again, and not really the way I like to do it at all. I really don't like doing things that way. Oh wait, so let's talk about the other thing. What was causing my batteries not to fully charge? Well, to understand the second thing, you have to know something about electrical engineering. In short, I noticed when I turned the phone off, the batteries would charge fine. When the phone was on, the batteries would not charge. The reason? Or at least more precisely, the batteries would charge at the full 100%. I would get up to 92 and that'd be about it. That told me that there is a current limiting voltage drop of the cable, which means that the voltage was low enough that it was not allowing the full 5.1 volts to go to the phone. When the phone was trying to get at the maximum of 1 ampere of power, or about 1.5 watts, or sorry, 5.1 watts. And it's not the charger, because when I unplugged the extension lead and plugged the charging cord straight into the power cube, it charges fine. So it tells me that the extension lead was actually adding some additional resistance to the charger when it was at maximum voltage or current drop, or about 1 ampere. So that is how it works. It's how these things do the job that they do. They actually will charge the battery, but they charge it by actually doing, like I said, they actually have these very thin, fine, usually copper-clad aluminium wires inside that is very, very low current capable. In other words, we're talking about size 28 AWG to even smaller to 32 AWG, almost talking about magnet wire. And the resistance per meter of aluminium, even copper-clad aluminium, is higher than the resistance of pure copper of the same size conductor. Back in the 1970s in the United States, there were homes that were made out of aluminium wiring. And what happened was the people would not notice that, and they would actually say, oh, size 14 copper is equal to size 14 aluminium. No, it's not. And unfortunately, the result was pretty simple. The people were actually using wire that actually has a significant current drop in the circuits where they thought that they could replace wire for wire. The result was pretty drastic. The wire would get hot, the wire would catch fire, the house would burn down. Not good, okay? Also, copper and aluminium cannot easily be mixed in the same conductors, because if they do, a corrosion sets in, almost like a form of electrolysis, which causes the aluminium to degrade. Okay? So that means that your whole electrical system is sitting on a time bomb, and it's going to corrode itself, and to the point where it's basically nothing. A similar situation happens with water pipes that are sweat soldered, because it turns out that sweat soldered copper pipes, unless the plumber has been washing off the acid core flux, the flux gets inside the pipe and it starts to eat away the interior walls of the copper pipe. Obviously, one way to prevent that is to flush out the plumbing after you install it, to make sure that the pipe is nice and whistle clean. But unfortunately, some plumbers are in too much of a hurry and they didn't do that. this big guy found out from his own plumbing in his own building. He had started to drill pinholes in this copper pipe. The solution was you gotta replace the diseased pipe. It's like a cancer. Call it what you want. Coperic rot comes to mind. Alright, not good for your pipes, not good for you. And the same thing when you mix aluminum and copper in the same circuit without the proper associated antioxidant connectors, you get a type of electrolysis connection, which means that something is going to rot away faster than you can say boo. Because the resistance of that joint is going to be high enough that once it starts getting hot, it is going to cause it to fail. Now, in the case of USB cables, well, we never really think about that. Almost everything from China and the USB stuff is copper-clad aluminium, not solid copper. Trust me, I've taken enough of them suckers apart. I know what I'm talking about. So, obviously, the best solution is simple. You gotta keep your leads short. Great. In some cases, that's not a problem. But in other cases, when your main power point is like away in one side of the room and you're on the other side of the room, and you want to have the phone by your bed, and you got a regular mains powered extension lead, and it's going across the room to you, and then you still find out you still need an extra half a meter of reach, so you buy those inexpensive little extension leads for USB, which I happen to have one here, which is... Actually, I got a couple things here. Here's the lead here. It looks substantial, but obviously, the truth of the matter is, it's not substantial at all. This thing is, you can see the wire is certainly relatively thin. As I said, this is probably about 32 gauge. And this is Chinesium crap. Now the actual charging lead itself isn't exactly any thicker. Okay, and that's the charging lead. If it goes to my phone, is the power cube. And what's happening is as I said, is that when you plug in that white cord into that extension lead that's black, and then you plug that into the power cube, what it's doing is the additional length is resulting in a higher resistance. The higher resistance is preventing the charger from getting a full set of voltage, especially under load. If you actually looked at the voltage on a voltmeter, if it's not under load, you'll see the voltage is close to 5.1 volts, maybe about 5, which is still fine. But when you start charging a phone at full 5 watts, it's going to cause the voltage to drop like a rock. And when it does that, when it drops like a rock, the phone has no choice but to assume that it's got a charger that is not capable of giving it the full 5 watts of charge, which it can't, because the current is being limited by the conductor itself. So, the only solution is A, replace the conductors with beefier ones, say about 24 gauge, which, guess what? It is almost impossible to do because these stupid wires are actually, the connector point is too small to even solder in anything that's 24 gauge in size. Okay? That's not going to happen. Number 2, a 24 gauge wire is also going to be extremely hard to get in a flexible form, as I said, to solder onto the tiny lands and these connectors. I have only can guess what it'll be like to solder onto this tiny little plug. I don't even want to try it. A 24 gauge wire, say like an American telephone cord, wire or bell wire that goes in your wall, is actually usually about 24, 28 gauge. That would probably be fine. But the problem is that wire would be terrible. That's a long story about American telephone callers, but the point is, those wires are too fat. They won't fit. So, the other end of the choice is this part here. What I mean by this is you plug this into a high voltage mains extension lead and bring it closer to you. Yeah, you could do that. If you don't mind having a big long mains extension leads next to you. And that's the reason I run into the problem, because as I said, I have so many USB devices that plug into mains leads. I mean, crap, I got my phone that I'm using now, I got my iPhone, I use my Samsung V100T, I have my text messages, I have cameras, I have all kinds of stuff. So the point is charging this stuff is always going to be a boondoggle. When you start dealing with 5 volts, you're dealing with voltages that's low enough that even something as simple as a 1 ohm drop in current resistance, a 1 ohm overall resistance on the circuit, could actually cause it to either be a successful charge or a failure. Now, on US, on say European volts of 240, if you have a 1 ohm resistance, that's like nothing. Nothing is gonna affect you. It's just gonna basically, maybe because the voltage will drop, say from the mains point of say 239 volts down to say about 238.9 volts. In other words, a tenth of a volt. You're talking about USB. I mean, that drop could be enough that could stop your stuff from charging. I bought a 25-foot lead one time, extension lead, USB one. I thought it'd be cool. I'm gonna have a 25-foot long cord. Oh, guess what? It wouldn't charge anything. Why? Because it couldn't. Because the cord was too long, the electrical resistance was too high, and nothing would charge on it. I thought my plug was bad. It wasn't. It was the cord was too long. So what I'm trying to point out is with these USB leads, especially these cheap Chinese ones, you can't go longer than a meter long. If you do, they're going to basically not charge everything completely correctly. And I didn't even talk about the power cubes, did I? Now these things, this is an Apple one, these here, well, these are nice because they're small and they're puny, and this is a real genuine Apple cube. The problem is, some of these cubes get the wiring inside, the PC boards, the isolation suck. I mean, I can tell you right now that the Big Clive has taken quite a few of these power cubes apart and found out that some of these things have terrible isolation between mains and the 5 volts. And in some cases, it's surprising that either United States Underwriters Laboratory or even the British BIS standards would even allow that. Or the European Union standards. Holy crap. I mean, you're talking about these little stupid dingy chargers that, I like them because they're small, but that's just it. When you make it too small, there's no separation between mains and low voltage, and you're going to potentially, something happens, a drop of water gets in there, maybe your kid accidentally spills his juice on the connector, and it's going to arc across, and it's going to make your life a one-time deal. In other words, you may never recover because you plug that thing into the wall, and the next thing you know, you got 120 to 240 volts mains voltage going across your shielding of your USB charger. Not exactly fun. In fact, people have died from that. One airline attendant got electrocuted doing just that, just charging her phone on the airplane. plugged into the airplane's main supply, and it arced across the high voltage to the low voltage section and killed her instantly. Because she was talking on the phone while I was charging. So, chargers like this can be bad news. And make sure to keep them dry. And make sure, if you think they're bad, throw them out, replace them. If they're good, if you test it and the isolation is good, and they work good, fine, you're lucky. But you sometimes do get a bad bunch of them, and the draw. I got a few that were definitely kind of questionable, and they were not really genuine Apple ones. They were from some other company. You need to keep that in mind. Alright, so tonight, let's remind you, we're going to be having this special memorial for Beavertime. Beavertime, at 6:47 p.m. on Monday night, finally passed away, along with his friends and family, and so we're having our little memorial service for him tonight. Now, as I said, I already taped part of it in advance, so that's the good news, is that we're going to be able to see the whole thing. Alright, so I'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock. Stay out of trouble. Okay? Bye-bye.